evening and welcome back to Moving Forward. And again, I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Jamal Mohammed, and we are going to talk a little bit about constitutional reform and the series of consultations that we've been having on constitutional reform, Jamal.
Well, constitutional reform is a very, very important issue affecting the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We have been operating under some constitutions and we need to make changes. There's no question about that. Everyone is in agreement that our constitution needs to be reformed and changed. But we have, first of all, to find out what we need to change and what are the changes that we hope to achieve.
Yes, and that is when it comes to the people.
Yeah, so we need to talk with them.
Exactly, and that's why
the COP has started a series of consultations on constitutional reform. And on Monday last, the 12th of March, we had one at City Hall in San Fernando. And if you can go now to that clip, we can see exactly what transpired at the City Hall in San Fernando, where we had the moderator, as Member of Parliament, Carolyn C. Prasad Bechan. Our special guest speaker was Mr. Michael Harris, noted commentator. And a special guest at that event on Monday was the Vice President of the Senate, Senator Lindira Udit. So we have now the clip and the tape showing activities at what transpired on Monday at the City Hall in San Fernando, Nigeria. It's all part of the consultative process within the COP to get the pulse of the people to find out what they were like.
Yes.
You see, we have been campaigning, and if we can go now to the clip to get an idea of what happened at that consultation on Monday, the COP pledged to make changes to the constitution to affect things like having a referendum for important national events, for the right of recall, for term limits, and for a look at proportional representation, amongst other things affecting the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And all that and much more was there at City Hall in San Fernando on Monday, the 12th of March.
Which describe and define how a country works and how a country operates. If those arrangements do not work, if the governments do not work, if the politics does not work, if the society is in a shambles, then you need to re-examine the blueprint. When we are faced with the same recurring problems, when nothing that we do makes a difference, then we have to come to the realization and accept that what we face is a systemic problem. A systemic problem. That the problems do not go away because they are the symptoms of a far more deep-seated and fundamental problem. And that is when the Constitution and the need for constitutional reform comes in. I want to put it to you here this evening, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, that the fundamental problem we face, the source of all our problems, is that we operate under a system of government and politics utterly inappropriate and inimical to the demands and needs of an independent and democratic society. And the reason for that is that the structure and institutions of government and state which we have today have come to us almost intact from the days of our colonial past.
I want to suggest a local government where I have a special interest that we add to the list of suggestions. 1. The constitutional guarantee for local government, Mr. Michael Harris stated that very emphatically. The chairman should be a permanent position, should be full-time for the purposes of continuity and management of the projects and the local government system. Funding to be, of course, funding, whether we do it on per capita basis or we use the Tobago House of Assembly system, whatever it is, it must be permanent and protected.
If we are concerned with good law and governance, the Congress of the people must argue and insist that the retention of the Senate is extremely important. I have been told that at previous sessions such as this, people have argued for the abandonment of the Senate. And I want to persuade this evening those here assembled that they must look seriously at the retention of the Senate, where we will have proper debate and discussion on issues arising out of bills being presented and not on political exchanges as we know how in the law.
Mr. Harris asked, why do we need to reform the Constitution? And my thinking about this is long ago, for more than a decade, when I served for a period of time as Vice Chairman and then Chairman of the NAR. Mr. Lennox Sankar then was the political leader. And it was at that time when a certain political leader, I should say political leader, Prime Minister, placed into the Senate members who had lost at the polls. I thought here comes a time when we need to reform this Constitution, whereby this does not happen. Here is it that X, Y, and Z rejected by the people, and A has put him in to be a senator. So it went way back to that. And one of the factors is that I have it here. We have here, what Mr. Harris reminds me of is what I thought of earlier in the week. Last week, we have a democratic autocracy on autocratic democracy. I prefer the first one, democratic autocracy, whereby we democratically elect a prime minister. And from that moment, as Mr. Harris so rightly puts it, it becomes the autocracy or the power of that person to appoint who, according to his or her whims and fancy. Even if I did lecture to you at Lockjaw, you will give me a Senate post.
I've listened to everything that Mr. Harris has said, and I've agreed with a lot of it. And I always look at government. If you take it simple model, we have a board, you have a company. A company has shareholders, a company has a board of directors. Let's use it in the context of Trinidad and Tobago. The shareholders, Trinidad and Tobago is a company. The shareholders of that company would be all of us, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Shareholders appoint directors. Directors are responsible for policy making. That is their sole purpose. The implementation of policy is someone else's job. Now, if we take that in the context of what Mr. Harris is saying, we need members of parliament, or we need to elect persons to make policy. And any constitutional change must be based on that. It makes no sense for you to elect persons, members of parliament, whose sole purpose is to go and listen about problems of roads and drains. And to that end, I agree with Mr. Harris that we need to strengthen local government to deal with those problems. What we need to do when we're looking at constitutional reform is to take away the need for members of parliament to be dealing with those things. We can only do that if we strengthen local government. Now, if the aim is not to strengthen local government, then the other alternative that I would suggest is that we do not have members of parliament being ministers. Because if the member of parliament's primary purpose is to deal with problems in his constituency, then that member of parliament should not be bogged down with ministerial duties.
Many have said that the constitutional reform that we are engaged in consultations should be far wider. Let me just put for your consideration that this consultation did not begin with this phase only. The Congress has been in a continuous effort over the years to formulate a new constitution. And indeed, I was privileged even here in Caroline, you were here several years ago, where we had the Grand Consensus of which I chaired. And we had the most magnificent meeting on the new forms of constitutional rights and duties that should attend our nation. What I can tell you is that a promise is a promise. And as Mr. Harris has indicated, trust in politicians is critically important if any nation is to succeed. And a promise made in the manifesto, dealing with the issues that we have brought forward in this phase of our consultations, is the bare minimum that we are prepared to go forward with. The system that we need to create is one within the confines of the expected constitution, the ability to evolve and give power to people. I think everyone agrees the constitution is a contract between its people and those who give the authority and responsibility to govern. And therefore those terms of the contract must be negotiated from time to time. Unfortunately, we do not have the luxury, because a term as it stands now is 5 years. And it is the commitment of the Congress of the people, because we were elected on the basis of the promises of our manifesto to have constitutional reform as promised within the first term of this government. That is something we will stand firmly on. We will not deviate from. And we believe in doing the work. We do not create ultimatums to anyone unless we've done the work, presented it. There will come a time for that, if need be. But we believe in the preparation of the ground, the work that is necessary. We continue. We congratulate Mr. Danny Ram, our chairman, Mr. Tony, Mr. Dilema, Mr. Adams, and all those who have participated in those consultations that have already gone. I thoroughly enjoyed this evening, and I look forward to the continued efforts of this great party called the Congress of the People, because we truly believe that we are here as servants of the people, not to hold office for the sake of holding office, but to give those dreams and expectations of our people for a true democracy. We move forward, and I thank each and every one of you for your continued participation with the fervent hope and trust that we are making a difference. We are restoring trust to a society that has been devoid of that in public life. That is, to me, the most critical thing, because with trust, all things are possible. With trust, you will have faith. And when your people trust you, you live up to the expectations and the reputations that we give to you. If the population holds their leaders in the lowest expectations, guess what? We will live up to it. But if we in the Congress lift ourselves and tell all leaders that you are to lead for the betterment, Vox Populi, Vox Dei will only be true if the population is enlightened. And we do this. We, when I say not just the Congress, but there are many souls in this nation who believe in an enlightened citizenry. And only with that will we have true democracy. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome back to Moving Forward. Jamal, as we saw there, we had a very interesting clip concerning constitutional reform.
You know, Nigel, in 2007, the COP had pledged certain things in terms of constitutional reform for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, including the referendum on important national issues, the right of recall for non-performing elected representatives, term limits for prime ministers, and to take a look at proportional representation. Yeah. We had promised this. So this must be an important part of all or any discussions that go into constitutional reform here in Trinidad and Tobago. And we hope as we progress, there'll be further discussion. And in fact, we are going to Arima on Thursday, this Thursday, the 22nd of March. We shall be at the Arima Town Hall, number 8 Hollis Avenue in Arima from 6 p.m. The process continues. The moderator will be Member of Parliament, Mr. Roger Samuel, and the guest speaker is Dr. Bishnu Raghunath, political analyst. We want to invite all of you from Arima and around that area to join the Congress of the People as we talk constitutional reform this Thursday, the 22nd of March, 6 p.m. at the Arima Town Hall in Arima. And that will be very interesting and important for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. But we want to continue now, Nigel. The duty of a member of parliament is very wide-ranging. Very broad. And we are so lucky in our country. We have members of parliament who toil day in and night to make sure they serve the people who elected them to office.
Yes, and shortly we'll go to a clip where we see our Member of Parliament, Dr. Lincoln Douglas, restoring his constituency.
That's right, Lupino Bonaire West. So let's take a look now at that clip. Dr. Lincoln Douglas in action.
Well, we're here at Windy Hill, which official name is Bonaire North. our intention here is to look at the infrastructure, to meet with the people, and to do our ongoing work that we've been doing here in the constituency. Windy Hill or Bonnet North is a squatter area that is being regularized right now with the Land Settlement Agency. And so in a lot of ways, a lot of the property, a lot of the infrastructure we have to look at to determine, you know, how viable it is and what's really going on. In the background here, we have a area that has been excavated and the soil removed, and it's now sort of posing a threat as the land is beginning to slip and to wash away. So we've been here with the LSA looking at it to determine what best could be done.
What are some of the major infrastructural developments that have occurred over the past 2 years during the course of developing the area?
Well, we've had electricity put in here, which has been a significant help to the community, and thanks to the TNTech. We've had well, the water setup is here already, but they haven't actually turned on the water because of other complications. The sewer systems are here also. The land right now is being regularized. It's being surveyed and allocated to particular residents, and so that is a significant development. People would soon be able to purchase a piece of land they own and have some kind of collateral to develop their lives. And we've also met with the residents, and we're looking at other kinds of projects like agricultural projects and sort of community development project. We have developed a stakeholders group in here that is working for the development of the community. And in general, we're working for the community and the infrastructural development of Windy Hill. This has been a collaboration between the MP's office and the Land Settlement Agency, and that I think has been a first, that we have worked with Land Settlement Agency to organize the community, do the community development part of it, and support land settlement in terms of doing the regularization. So we've worked with the community to do safety patrol, to put security in the area and different kinds of things. So I think in that regard it is a kind of model, the way the MP office or the government can collaborate with the MP office to develop and to do projects. We have one of our office staff also working on a project for you know, picking up garbage and recycling and that kind of thing. And we think there's an opportunity for a lot of those kind of green industry in this area. And so we will be working with HDC and the Green Fund and others to kind of try to bring some kind of community and type of projects to support the residents up here.